Yeah, I was a political science major here, and I had the very dubious role of being the number two guy in Kent County Citizens for McGovern Shriver. I mean, what are the odds that that's going to end successfully, right? So, I was a wide-eyed liberal young kid, loved politics, ended up becoming Steny Hoyer's driver while I was in law school, who's now the number two guy in the House of Representatives, and went to work on Capitol Hill with him, which was a fabulous education for a young person. Things were much better and nicer then. People got along. Both parties got along well, relatively well, and certainly in light of today's circumstances. And was with him for probably 6, 7 years, and then went to practice law at a firm called Patton Boggs. The irony is, in the 1978 gubernatorial campaign, I'm Steny Hoyer's driver, who's running for governor, dropped back to run for lieutenant governor. Yeah, one of the other opposing candidates was Harry Hughes, who I always liked. We go to an event, Steny would want to hand out, flyers and everything to everybody. Harry tended to be more shy and hang at the back of the hall and maybe have a beer, and I really enjoyed hanging with Harry, So ironically, when I joined Pat Boggs, Harry and I joined at the same time and became partners, and he remains a very, very close friend of mine. I had helped Paris Glendenning get elected governor, and as well as Harry. Both of us really pitched in. And the governor asked me if I would be chairman of the Maryland Stadium Authority, which was a very powerful position. It was pro bono, so it was a volunteer position. But the statute that created the Maryland Stadium Authority was designed to be semi-autonomous from government, in that it gave the authority the job of keeping the Orioles in Baltimore, building a new stadium for them, and then trying to attract a national football team. Well, we had been through two efforts, expansion efforts, before I became chairman to try to get an NFL team, and we had lost. So I told the governor I would take the job because, of course, we were never going to get a football team. It would be pretty easy. I'd have good seats for games, and it wouldn't be a big deal. But the due diligence I did after taking the job led me to believe we had a very good possibility to get a team. So I kind of quietly was soliciting conversations with a number of NFL owners, which I did indeed have, and that, of course, resulted in our doing the deal with the then Cleveland Browns and Art Modell. And so we have something to do on Sundays now, right? But the most moving experience for me was not when we opened the stadium, not the process at all, but 5 years after we opened it, and 5 years after I was chairman, we won a Super Bowl 35. And at that time, I was in investment banking at Legg Mason, and I, like everybody else, went down on the street for the parade, and it was pouring rain. But it was packed. There were hundreds of thousands of people out there, and that's when it hit me, because they were white, they were black, they were rich, they were poor, they were boss, they were secretary, they were all there, and they're all hugging each other. And that's when it hit me, because it's like, this really did bring this community together. I mean, in a real way that you could see and touch and feel. It was pretty cool. Yeah. And when Chestertown was founded in 1706, it was founded by a bunch of young rabble-rousers. These were kids, in their late teens and early 20s, and they got dumped here because they had the tax incentive of not having to pay the Queen for 4 years, right? So they come here, and they've left post-medieval England, and they're crowded, and they're under strict religious stricture, and they're dumped by this river with this gorgeous land, and they go, what do we do now? And they made it happen, and a generation, 2 generations later, You know, we were one of the wealthiest populaces in America, and we were the center of the population, the geographical population at that time. People crossed through us. They made use of the river. They made use of the lands. They grew tobacco. We were a huge importer as well as an exporter. We're a royal port of entry. So what we've got to do here, I think, is recall, you know, that kind of entrepreneurial spirit that begat us, if you will, along with exploiting all that is good about us. You know, we are one of the few colonial towns that is largely intact. There aren't many of us, and we need to sell those resources better than we do. We need to grow, not a lot, you know, but we need to grow some, because we have to deal with the very difficult challenges facing this community, I think. I've been here a long time. I've been here 42 years, and my wife and I have lived here, had a second home here for 25 years now, in various parts of the county, so we've gotten to know it pretty well. Yeah, what shocked me, really shocked me, was the percentage of the population living below the poverty level. And it is 27%. And it's just way out of whack. I mean, you consider Baltimore City is 22%, you know, and that's a very, very scary statistic when you have that large of your population that is living at the poverty level. You know, it says a lot about a community, and it says a lot about what you need to do, and you need jobs. You know, when you have that many people who are non-productive and who are relying on government to get by, it means you need jobs. This is, I think, one of the more enjoyable experiences I've ever had, honestly. And I think there's a number of task force members who will tell you that, because we knew right away this was not going to be done in a couple months. First of all, we're having a lot of fun. And second of all, we wanted to really know this county inside and out. So we met with the entire gamut. You know, again, I think the number's around 150 people who spoke openly, because, you know, it was private, and we learned so much, you know, about things that you think you know, but you really don't until you get all these people in front of you. So you're touching every element of the community, and I think every one of us really enjoyed that and really got a lot out of it. And it was pretty dang easy for us to reach consensus. You know, there were no lines of demarcation. It wasn't town versus the college members of the task force. That never happened. And the fact that we went through a report and so easily agreed on what the draft looked like tells us that we got it. You know, that after listening to all that and digesting it all, we really did, all of us, kind of understand. It was kind of like sitting on a jury, in a sense, that, you know, you're listening to this and listening to that, but you get in the jury room and you immediately look at each other and go, yeah, you know, we get it. We know what happened here. When I became chairman of the Stadium Authority, I was like everybody else in Baltimore who thought, we've been through 2 expansions. We lost. We're never going to have an NFL team. But then I started doing my due diligence and looking at the facts, right? The facts, to me, as I looked at them, were very different. And I turned out to be correct. The facts were different. We were able to exploit those facts, and we were able to get an NFL team. The same is true in Chestertown. You have to look at the facts. The facts are, we are very economically challenged. We are demographically challenged. We have some issues here we have to deal with. But we also have some really good things in our favor. And those are facts. We do have a great river. We do have a beautiful topography. We have a wonderful town. We have a beautiful county. Those are facts. So the question is, how do we exploit those facts to get the NFL team, right?